Welcome to the Navigating Dental Insurance Podcast, where we don't take from insurance companies. Here are your hosts, Mr. Jordan Comstock and Mr. Ben Tuine. This podcast is sponsored by BoomCloud Dental Membership Software, www.boomcloudapps.com, and Veritas Dental Resources, www.veritasdentalresources.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Navigating Dental Insurance Podcast. I am your co-host today, Jordan Comstock. With me, I got Mr. Benji Tuine.
Nice.
Sorry, I just had to do that. It's funny when
Benji.
I say that. Nobody calls you Benji.
My mother would be proud of you at this very moment.
Does your
Jordan.
mom call you Benji?
Oh, yeah. She called me Benji all the time.
I just had this feeling, Ben. I never call Ben Benji, but I thought like last minute that it'd be really funny to call you Benji.
Well, you've earned one sucker punch in the junk, just so you know.
So next time I see you, okay. How you doing?
You'll get
man?
it when you least expect it. Let's just say that.
You can call me Jordy, and then that's what my mom
Jordy?
calls me. Yeah. So
Okay.
So next time I'll let you do that.
Sounds good.
Awesome, Ben. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm just messing with. I bought this dash cam.
Uh-huh.
And that's because on my wife's brand new car, I traded in the 760, by the way.
Oh, nice.
And less
What'd you
than
get?
500 miles on this thing. And somebody sideswiped the front
Oh.
passenger bumper. And I'm really ticked off because, it's covered by the warranty. We just take it in, they'll buff it out, and they'll fix it.
Uh-huh.
But I'm just so ticked off that people would be that irresponsible, in a parking lot to sideswipe you. Know that they sideswiped you and just take off.
And they just took off. What the crap?
So
That's
just
annoying.
so I can harass people that are stupid, I'm installing these dash cams. And, that's my only question today for our guest, who's an attorney, is nothing related to dental.
Nothing
But,
related.
yeah.
For personal reasons only. Okay, I see.
Yeah,
Ben.
how do I go after people if I catch them on dash cam and engaging in illegal activity?
Yes.
I don't know if I can do that or not, but
Yeah, we'll certainly ask that. So, speaking of our guest, I brought on a good friend of mine. His name is JKesler, and I've known JD. He's an attorney for, I believe, a partner attorney for Parsons Behle and Latimer right here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I've known JD since I was a little kid. We grew up together in the same neighborhood.
3 days ago.
Like 3 days ago. Yeah, I've been a little kid, not that long. But I've known JD for a very long time. He's a good family friend of mine, and we've started to collaborate here in dentistry because his firm in Utah works with a lot of dental practices and DSOs. But I wanted to welcome JKesler. What is up to man?
Hey, thanks. I'm happy to join you today.
Yeah,
Great
dude.
to be on with you.
Super pumped to have you on. So today we're going to be talking about some tips and tricks when it comes to creating and starting a membership program for your dental practice. And JD is going to help us learn more about some of the legal questions that we get here at BoomCloud and through our podcast as well. So first, JD, let's kind of hear your story. How did you get involved in being an attorney and getting involved in the dental space?
Well, it's interesting. I went to law school, and when you come out of law school, no one really has much of a specialty.
Yeah.
But I went to a firm that I used to be with previously, and we had some clients that they were actually more in the medical space, but they would manage doctors' practices for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did we started working on their contracts and working on their licensing agreements, their employment matters, that sort of thing. Then after a few years, I actually went and became in-house counsel for a large energy company. And over at the energy company, you find that you're dealing with lots of corporate type issues. But interestingly, legal issues in some ways are very similar regardless of which company you're at, whether it's a publicly traded company or it's a small, mom and pop shop. So when I decided it was time to, move on and get back to the law firm life that I missed so much while I was in-house, I came to Parsons. It's one of I think it's the best firm in the Intermountain West. And
Nice.
They have the dental practice group. And what we've determined with this group that practices in this area is while legal issues are similar across most industries, dental is one of those ones that, it's a rapidly consolidating market and there's just very complex state and federal regulations. And then you also have the aspect of more and more dentists are moving to like a DSO, a dental support organization model, to sort of help manage the business. And so my past experience, both at a large corporation and with my medical practice experience previously, this was just a perfect fit for my skill set. And so I've been here working on these kinds of, sometimes they're routine leases for a dentist, but sometimes they are, mergers of practices, and sometimes they're setting up DSOs. So those are the kinds of legal issues that we deal with here, including medical retainer agreements and direct primary care, which we'll be talking about in a minute.
Totally. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll lead into that. So basically, what we're seeing in the industry, practices are, here at BoomCloud at least we're seeing this, practices are creating what they're calling dental membership programs, wellness plans, things like that, where patients pay a monthly or yearly fee to get access to benefits and discounts. And what I have found with just my own research, that there exists, direct primary care laws that can help practices, basically set these programs up and offer them to their patients. So could you tell us, JD, what is DPC and kind of get into the details there for us?
Yeah, sure. So direct primary care, I mean, when you hear that name, you think, well, it's doctors providing services to patients, right? Why is that so difficult?
Yeah.
And it really is because of the complicated insurance regulatory scheme that you find in various states. And by the way, for your listeners, I think it's just important that as Jordan knows, I always like to say with legal answers, the
yes.
answer is always qualified. Well, it depends. my favorite joke that my clients probably get tired of, but I like to say that. And so as we talk about this, periodically I'm probably going to revert back to Utah law, just because if we've got to tie it somewhere,
of course, yeah,
that's just a logical off the top of my head type of thing. Because that's the thing, unfortunately, about these insurance regulations is they vary from state to state. And so that's one of the reasons why it gets so complicated for dentists and their practices, is you've got a big stack of the Utah code or code in whichever state you're in to deal with every time you're doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So direct primary care, and I'll probably kind of paraphrase it, and you can jump in, Ben and Gordon, as you want. But I mean, the idea is you have people trying to make sure that there's a way to cut through the regulatory process or operate outside the regulatory process legally, so that you can go ahead and have maybe more direct negotiations with your patients, a more direct service, without having the insurance process in the middle of all of that, because the insurance process is that regulatory scheme that I was talking about is so complicated.
Yeah, oh yeah. So it's basically a way for practices to bypass like insurance regulation.
Yeah, and to do it legally. You're not skirting them or anything.
Yeah.
It's setting up it's a model that is outside of the regulatory process. And the reason why is the code is written in a way that says unless it's like a cash and carry thing, unless you're out there practicing and saying patients come in, $100 and this service is yours, if you have any type of mechanism where there's upfront fees or things like that, you start to get into these more regulatory processes. And so the direct primary care model is they want to say, for example, charge a monthly fee and then allow the patient to come in and get certain services as a result of paying that direct monthly fee. And it's a way to do it without being an insurance company and not falling into the regulations of an insurance company, which frankly nobody wants to do unless you're
not even insurance companies want to do that.
Insurance companies have it figured out.
Yeah.
So Jordan, this law exists in the state of Washington as well?
So right now I'm actually on the DPC Frontier website that kind of tracks where this is at. But yes, the law is in Washington or state of Washington, and I believe I referred actually a practice over to JD this morning or last night, I can't remember, that we're going to look at that, because the state of Washington is an interesting state when it comes to DPC law, and there seems like, from my opinion, from my viewpoint, it just seems like there's lots of rumors in that state, and including coming from like the insurance commissioner. But I mean, I'm not an attorney. This is just what I've seen out there. So it'll be interesting to see, as we kind of research that state a little bit more with some of the clients out there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Cool. So, JD, I want to know, like, so why is it necessary for practice to have DPC? Sounds like you semi-mentioned that, but we'll go into details there and make it a point.
Yeah. And it's interesting. A lot of the things that we're going to talk about today kind of overlap and
of course
keep coming back to some of the same points. But if you were to go, for example, pick up the Utah Code and start reading about providing health care, and you're reading about who is a healthcare provider, and it's dentists and it's chiropractors and it's medical doctors. It's there's a whole big long list. You read those definitions, and then you go read the code that talks about providing health care, and it starts to get complicated, frankly, but it says, except under certain exceptions found in the following subsections, a person may not, directly or indirectly provide health care, may not arrange for health care, may not, and so it sounds like it's a very prohibitive thing. Right off the bat, it sounds like, well, I don't know what I can do. And then you have to go read those subsections. And when you start reading the subsections, you realize, oh, okay, there is a section that says, well, you can provide it if it's just cash and carry, like I mentioned before. That's fine. The code isn't going to prevent a doctor from advertising a certain procedure for a certain price, taking the money and being done. But if you want to have any sort of plan, then you start falling into additional subsections. So you have to dig deeper and deeper into the code. And so I think that's why people are afraid, is because it's a complicated process, and it sounds like such a prohibition right off the bat, only to sort of have that carved away as long as you provide X, and if you do Y and also Z, then you fall into this category where it's okay for you to have this direct primary care. That's where these statutes come in. Those are basically statutes that perhaps were passed, let's say the insurance provisions were passed 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, direct primary care hasn't been around that long.
No.
So it's been the last few decades you see them getting passed. So direct primary care is basically one of the major exceptions to that prohibition that I talked about right off the bat. So I do think that's why people get concerned, and that's why they're afraid, and it seems complicated. But that's why when you have good professionals, your lawyers, your people in your business that can help provide sort of the answers and who have done this, just like any type of compliance issue, if you got some experts around you, you can get through this. And in any of these states, it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a definition here on the DPC Frontier website that I regularly go to it on a regular basis. The definition that I like here is a definition of DPC in each state equals lower legal barriers to entry equals less uncertainty equals wider adoption of DPC or membership programs for medical and dental practices. So that's one of the things that I like, why we have the DPC law, because it's here to help practices legally bypass those regulations of insurance and become, have a practice be comfortable offering this to their patients, without the fear of, having all this insurance regulation fall on them. So that's one of my favorite things about DPC.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Cool.
really the vehicle that makes it all possible.
Yeah, and I've been tracking this for a while here, JD, and we're seeing it, catch on in a lot of the states here. I'll have to. I recommend everyone going to dpcfrontier.org. I think it's .org, or dpcfrontier.com. Excuse me. And that's a great way that you can track, what your state is all about, and if they have any laws in the state that talk about DPC. Okay, cool. The next question I have, JD. So when a practice creates a dental membership program or dental wellness plan for their patients, it's often advised that they should have some sort of agreement. This agreement that I've found is called a medical retainer agreement or a direct primary care agreement. Can you give us some background on this and why a practice would want to have this type of agreement in their practice?
Well, absolutely. And again, like I talked, maybe I'll just talk about the Utah code specifically.
Yeah, you can talk about Utah
Because,
code.
for example,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So, okay. So the medical retainer agreement, that is actually legally mandated by Utah code. If
Cool.
you don't have a medical retainer agreement, and if it doesn't comply with the provisions of the Utah code, then you are violating the provisions that allow for this kind of primary care. The medical agreement, that writing, is one of those exceptions I talked about, that if you don't comply with that, then you violated the term, and arguably can be punished by the insurance commissioner or otherwise penalized. So
So if you don't have a medical retainer agreement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and this is where one of those things comes in. When you're doing this, it's fundamentally it's a contract situation.
Yeah.
And just like any time you enter into a contract, you need something solid and well defined, and that's why I think states have allowed this kind of direct primary care situation with medical retainer agreements, because they can mandate what's included in those agreements. And so that way they can make sure that people aren't pretending they're insurance when they're not, or that sort of thing. And so
I see.
that medical retainer agreement is it's basically your golden ticket to get to offer the kind of membership program that you help facilitate, Jordan.
Yeah. So, and I know a lot of states they're similar to Utah, right? The Utah code when it comes to medical retainer agreement. Because it seems, not that I'm an attorney, but I do read a lot of like statutes and things. Very boring stuff, by the way.
No, it's fun. Come on.
I'm just teasing you, JD. I appreciate your skill set, because I can't do it. But I've noticed that more and more states are kind of copying each other, and I've seen a lot of what they're doing similar here in Utah, where practices they need a medical retainer agreement to offer their membership program, and we do offer with our patients. We give them like a starting point and say, talk to your attorney, talk to JD. We've referred a few people to you, and make sure your medical retainer agreement is good to go. So that's something that we always address to all of our clients when they use our software to create their membership program. But I think it's even if they didn't, like if practices chose not to have agreement and there was no regulation that they had to have like an agreement, I think it would be insane if they chose not to have an agreement with their patient, because you're doing like contractual work, right, with the patient. And there's often practices that set up these plans but don't offer any type of agreement with the patient, which I think is kind of insane. But that's just my thoughts there. So what are some
and
of
I would agree with that. From the lawyer point of view. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. From the lawyer's point of view, I think you're correct that it's not a good idea when you're dealing with patients. And you're providing a service that isn't just the grocery store where somebody's buying a product and walking out with it.
Yeah.
You want to have in writing, if they're giving you money in advance, and anytime anyone gives you money in advance and then you're going to supply what they're doing later, if you don't have a contract, you've just opened yourself up to lawsuits.
Yeah.
They might be small amounts, and so maybe that's not that big of a risk, but overall, if you're out there doing this, and when the court often looks at sort of the individual consumer with more leniency and more favor than someone who's more informed. If you're the 800-pound gorilla in the transaction and the person entering into the other side of the transaction is sort of, the proverbial little old lady, the court is going to look at that and say, okay, 800-pound gorilla, you had the ability to define these terms, to provide this service, and you did a poor job of it, and so we're going to rule against you. And so the best way to prevent that is to have some sort of a written agreement. And, so even if it wasn't allowed or required by code, if you have a written agreement that says you're paying me X, and we will be giving you this certain amount during these certain time periods, et cetera. It's just the best way to completely communicate. And really what this contract is people hear contract and you get nervous and scared and think like, oh, geez, lawyers and fine print, and that's annoying. And, but this is an opportunity for the doctor to have a good dialogue and communication with their patient about this process. Yeah. And so these terms that say, look, my expectation is you're going to pay me with a credit card and you're going to keep a credit card on file, or my expectation is that if you don't pay me at the end of the month, I'm not going to provide services to you while there's an outstanding balance. You know, that's a much easier conversation to have with your patient up front than
when it actually happens and there's no
Yeah, and then they're upset and they claim they didn't understand, or maybe they just claim they didn't understand or something. But you want to think of it as a dialogue with your patient, really, I think.
Yeah, no, I like that. Because really, all an agreement is good communication, right? And then the two parties saying, yeah, I agree to this communication, right? so that's
and honestly,
really simple.
I like to say in most contractual situations, good communication, if everybody were perfect communicators, you wouldn't even need lawyers ever. So it'd be bad for my business.
But everybody sucks at communication, JD. So that's why we need lawyers.
I agree.
So awesome. So I have like a medical retainer agreement template that we give to people, and we tell them to take it to their attorney. If like one of our clients had, we gave them this template, and they came to you, you can totally help them review that and add things let's say they're in Utah, you can add things in Utah, but you guys are also licensed like across the nation, correct?
Oh yeah, we're licensed all over. And you mentioned Washington earlier, and that's one. We have a pretty large healthcare practice, and a lot of our healthcare lawyers are out of Boise too.
Okay.
And so we're licensed all over the place, and that helps us, with these dental practices that we really do all over. I mean, we have a really wide net that we can throw out on this kind of stuff. And we would go through, if you were to provide a form, as we do more and more of these, we find that it's easy to pull something for Washington, for Utah, whatever. Yeah. And you make sure that you hit the key provisions that are required under the code. For example, I like to point out that in Utah, one of the biggest things that the legislature decided needed to be in these is this warning that, look, patient, this is not insurance.
Yes.
Please don't look at it as insurance. And that helps. And you write it, we make sure we do it in all caps or bold or underline or something to just make sure it's very prominent. Everybody who's ever signed any kind of consumer contract has probably seen paragraphs in there where something is in all caps and bold, and you think, well, why the heck do they have to make it jump out so much? And it's because there are rules like this that say we want to make sure it's prominent because we don't want anybody to misunderstand. This is forcing the two parties to communicate basically by making it seem to scream at you from the page.
Yeah, no, we do that. So part of our service at BoomCloud, we integrate into the practice's website, and we have, so the patients can actually sign up for the membership programs online. And that's done through our software, but on our software, when the patient clicks on the practice's website and clicks to see their plans, it comes to our website, our software, and on each plan it does say in bold, this is not insurance, right? Because we want to have practices follow that, when they're using our software, because a lot of the times, if they were to try to manage it on their own, they forget that verbiage on their website or brochures. So we make sure that we have that on all of our stuff that practices are using that are patient, facing. So I think that's a huge key. Don't call it dental insurance because, one, you don't want to fall under any type of insurance regulation because it's really messy, and two, it's not insurance. So don't be calling it something that it's not, right? So that's kind of my 2 cents. If I were an attorney, JD, that's all I would say, basically. So cool.
Well, it's good advice. That's a good point.
Yeah, don't call your membership programs insurance because it's not, and you don't want to fall into that messy regulation stuff. So
yeah, why downgrade your product?
Nice. That was probably the best comment of the day, Ben. Why downgrade your product and call it insurance when it's not? It's way better than dental insurance.
It's my pleasure. I'm just sitting here playing video games, trying to get inspiration. So,
what game are you playing?
Nothing. No, just kidding.
I'm teasing. So Ben did have a question, JD, for you, and I want to give him some time for that because.
Oh no, it's not even dental related.
I know. I just thought it was funny.
Well, it's all surrounding this. Utah passed a law that if you, like what were they? They had them on the streets. I mean, not the streets, the freeways, the cameras that would catch speeders and red light runners.
Oh yeah.
And so I think in Utah, they passed a law that said if a peace officer is not there to witness that criminal activity, then even if you have it recorded, it can't be held in court. And, so you have a lot of people that run like the bus stops or when a bus stops and they have their red lights flashing.
Oh, yeah, I've done that before.
So even if you have that recorded where somebody's basically close to hitting your kid, Utah won't accept it, right? Is that right, JD? Are you familiar with that?
That I remember when that bill was passed, and yeah, they wanted to prevent those freeway traffic cams from being used to just be kind of a recurring ticket revenue source.
Yeah, that would be an awesome revenue source.
So installing a dash cam on your car, it can only be held up in court when you can prove that somebody else was at fault for the accident, right? Not catching speeders and things like that, red light runners.
Yeah, well, it's different. It would be different if you're using it to bring an action against someone else versus that's really more the prohibition you were talking about is more of a prohibition on police using it for criminal enforcement.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
If you're using it in your car, or for example, it's a little different because it's on your house. But if you have one on your house, and I kept having these dang kids go kick through my vinyl fence.
Oh yeah, we've seen a ton of that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, and it's annoying because I think they think it doesn't hurt anything, but it breaks them, and eventually, after they do it a couple times, you have to buy new slats. It's annoying.
Yeah. They should just toilet paper. That's cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Just do the good old fashioned.
That's what we did growing up, right, JD?
Little penny tapping.
Tapping, yeah.
But I think the statute of limitations is run on all of that, so we could admit it. But no, you could put a camera on your house and catch people, breaking through the fence or whatever. And if you can identify them, you could use that against them. Same thing with the dash cam. I don't think that's what the prohibition does. I think you're allowed to use that. Then the key would be you're going to need to catch the person. You're going to have to be able to identify the person clearly, or have a license plate or something that's clearly visible in the shot.
I appreciate that.
There you go, Ben. There, you got your answer.
Thanks for the legal advice.
The free legal advice.
Yeah, you can. All I was going to say there is, yeah, you can bill Jordan for that, JD. No problem.
There you go. I'll take that now.
Anytime, Ben.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jordan.
So, JD, this information has been awesome on our podcast. I think it's going to definitely help our practices when it comes to creating membership programs. What if a practice wants to use you for help, with reviewing their medical retainer agreement, asking questions in their state, or even helping them get set up with DSO and all that fun stuff that you get to take care of for practices, what's the best way to find you guys?
The best way to find us is probably at the website, which is Parsons parsonsbehle.com, and it's ParsonsBehle.com. So parsonsbehle.com. Again, my name is JKesler. My email, my phone number is on there. You could always call me at 801-536-6730. But the website gives you an idea of who we are, who the other attorneys are in the group. I mean, collectively, we've just got decades and decades of experience in this kind of stuff. So we'd love to help anybody out if they have any questions.
Yeah, and I totally recommend people to use JD. Reach out to him. He's a good friend. He's helping us here at BoomCloud and a lot of our clients as we refer them over. So I highly recommend using their firm, especially when it comes to medical retainer agreements and all their specialties with DSOs and everything you need for your practice. So awesome, JD. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. This has been a good episode.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thanks. Well, I've enjoyed it. It's been great being with you guys.
Yeah, totally. Ben, any last final announcements or thoughts?
No, just appreciate JD's expertise there. Last Friday in March.
Oh, yes.
We are holding an Insurance Anonymous course in San Diego. So check out our website, sayno2ppos.com to get registered for that. We do have an early bird special for that. And just so you know, the feedback from our last meeting is, we shared a lot of things that nearly 99% of participants said that they heard something new regarding insurance administration, membership plans, and other things. So again, sayno2ppos.com/events to check out our events for this year.
Awesome.
And that's all. Yeah, that's all I have to say, Jordan.
Thanks, Ben. Well, we hope you guys we hope you guys have an awesome day, and thanks for listening to our episode today.